So one of the most common misunderstandings about the laws of kashrut is that they're somehow connected to health, sanitary conditions, hygiene. Uh, of course, we can theorize anything we want in terms of the occurrence of any kinds of customs or traditions in whatever culture, but if we're studying the Torah, there's really no room for any kind of doubts about it. These are divine commands, and as such are fulfilled because they're divine commands. They're not conditional upon anything else. So we say, the Torah says you will not eat pigs, and someone decides, this is great because pigs cause trichinosis, and but now we can eat pork without having trichinosis. Therefore, no more commandment about eating pork. Actually, the exact opposite would be true because there's a separate commandment to guard our health. The Torah really doesn't need to tell us that we're not allowed to do things that are harmful or for us. That's logic. That's not spirituality. So let's go to the summary where it says at the conclusion of all the laws of kashrut, it says, I am Hashem your God. You are to sanctify yourselves, and you shall be holy, for I am holy. And you shall not contaminate yourselves through any teeming thing, that's something that crawls, that creeps on the earth. I am Hashem who brings you up, who brought you up, elevates you from the land of Egypt to be a God unto you. You shall be holy, for I am holy. So the essence of kosher is, first of all, holiness, and more specifically, because I am holy, says God, so we emulate God's holiness by, within the context of our human limitations, also making ourselves holy. Holy is kadosh in Hebrew, and kadosh means separate. Holiness arises in our lives when we make decisions, when we say, I can do this and I can't do that. However, those decisions will not bring us sanctity and holiness if they are created by us. You can't pull yourself up by your own shoelaces, as the American expression goes. We become holy by choosing those things that God says are permissible for us. And this is how the sanctity is created. But the idea, of course, is that in every material endeavor, and there is no more prototypical material endeavor than eating food, so that even there we penetrate and bring into it and have it permeated with a sense of godliness, because even there the choice occurs. Am I eating the thing that the Torah permits, or am I eating something that the Torah does not permit? And that's a very crucial decision that is brought down to the lowest level of materiality in our lives, the consumption of food, keeping with the mission and purpose of the creation of the world, which was that God desired a dwelling place for His presence, for the Shekhinah, the divine presence in the lower worlds. And so this is really what is happening when we have kashrut. And the Kli Yakar, which is a very powerful commentary, formerly a Rav in Prague, a student of the Maharal, and is a very classic commentary on the Torah, says that the sanctity is emphasized because of this common misconception that somehow this is connected to the idea of hygiene and safety. And he brings it one step further, that at the beginning it says, say unto them, to the children of Israel. And the Kli Yakar explains that the emphasis of explaining it to the children of Israel is to emphasize that this is specifically part of the sanctity of the chosen people. It is not one of the universalistic laws applying to everybody, which it would be if it was health connected, because in terms of health anatomy, we indeed are all the same. So it says that exactly this misconception which the Torah is trying to clear up. Now, let's bring a Hasidic dimension into it for a moment. I'll quote from the book of the Tanya, which explains at length the Kabbalistic notion, which is explained by Yitzchak Luria and his students, which, to begin with, even without the Kabbalah, we do in general have three domains metaphysically. One of them is holiness, things that are sanctified, things that are elevated. A Torah, holy days, the Shabbat. We have another extreme, things that are negative, things that are prohibited. Stealing, killing, non-kosher food, working on the Shabbat. And those two domains, those two extremes are somewhat clear. And then there's a middle domain. That is what I will call kind of the discretional domain, which does not involve things that are absolute obligations or things which are per se holy in their essence, nor are they things that are prohibited from doing. It is the whole area of things that are permissible, and that is really where our mission in life as a nation and as individuals is carried out. We can't make the Torah scroll or the Shabbat holier than it is. We make ourselves holy through it by keeping it. And there's nothing we can do to make prohibited acts like stealing permissible. But in that whole middle ground, what is called in Hebrew divrei rashut, matters of our permission, there we have the possibility to elevate them, to elevate that whole aspect of our life. That is where we bring God's presence into the material world. And so we have what is called kedusha, sanctity. We have what is called the whole area of isur, things that are prohibited. Now, the Tanya explains that within foods, there are two kinds. There are those that we're allowed to eat, those that we're not allowed to eat. And each of them receives their nurture from a different spiritual domain. The ones that are permissible, they're not holy. They're neutral. And hence, they are sustained from a spiritual dimension which is also neutral, neither holy nor evil. They're in a middle ground. And their future, so to speak, depends on what we do with it. If we take food that is permissible, mutar in Hebrew, and we use the energy in a positive way, the godly sparks in that food are then elevated and become reunited and raised up and joined together in the realm of holiness. If we do it just because of the taste of the food and we're kind of lust after the food, then what were previously neutral divine sparks sadly are then degraded into the level of negative and of evil. When does this possibility occur, this whole challenge? When the food is permissible. When food is asur, that means prohibited. The Tanya explains that asur is connected to the word imprisoned, because these sparks in the prohibited foods are imprisoned. They cannot be elevated. So you cannot say, I will have a Big Mac and use the energy to do charity and hence elevate the Big Mac. No, that doesn't work that way. And so therefore, the whole idea of having the non-kosher food binds us to this negativity. And the only way we can carry out our mission in life is to eat the permissible food and hence use that energy and so raise up the divine sparks in it so they can be reunited with their source in holiness.